And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Wednesday, Hump Day, March 11th, 2026. And, it kind of feels a little more like March out there this afternoon, with temperatures currently hanging generally in the 20s to near 30 across the area. We're 29 degrees with a north wind at 8. We've got a little band of snow between Fargo and Jamestown moving westward, and we're talking it's very light, just a few flurries or snow showers out of this between about 2:30 and 4:30 this afternoon. And again, it's weakening as it approaches the valley. So I'm not really expecting much out of that, but you'll see a few snowflakes as we head into the afternoon, with temperatures today topping up pretty close to the freezing mark. So we're a few degrees higher than where we're at right now. And then we'll quiet things down tonight, partly cloudy, lows around 20. And tomorrow, that's when the fun starts. We've got a very strong area of low pressure that's going to be riding out of the northern Rockies, diving east and southeastward through the state. And this is really going to crank up the winds. I'll tell you what, areas of the northern valley along and north of Highway 2 are going to be in for quite a wind event, and along with that, snow. In fact, nothing issued yet by the National Weather Service, but trust me, there will be either watches or advisories or warnings issued for the Northern Valley into northern Minnesota. We already have winter storm warnings issued now for the Arrowhead of Minnesota, winter storm watches east of Bemidji. And again, that will likely expand westward to include areas along and north of Highway 2. For some type of advisories, warnings, something is going to be issued here by the Weather Service later this afternoon. As that storm system approaches the area tomorrow, we're going to see a band of snow move in on a warm front. Probably late morning, it looks like, and we'll see a quick burst of snow late morning. Then we get in on the warm sector of this storm here in the FM area, and we'll have southerly winds, and we'll boost our temperatures up into the 40s, it looks like now. In fact, a couple of the models are trying to pump out 50 degrees tomorrow. That might be pushing it a little bit, but I can see us definitely getting in the 40s around and south of the 94 corridor. Now, areas up around Grand Forks, up through Grafton, Thief River, Roseau, those areas should remain all snow throughout the day, and winds are really going to crank up, especially in the afternoon. We'll start in the morning with winds out of the south, but then the winds really pick up in the afternoon, switching to the northwest, and they'll be gusting between 45 and 50 miles an hour. So we'll see some snow showers on the backside of this system in the afternoon with those strong winds. Now, areas up to our north, again, from about Devil's Lake, Langdon, and eastward through Grand Forks and Thief River, those areas are going to see about 2 to 5 inches of snow, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you factor in those strong winds with it, 35 to 50, we're looking at near blizzard conditions at times in the Northern Valley, especially in the afternoon into the evening hours. That's when things are going to get pretty difficult off to the north. So keep that in mind if you have any travel going north. If you're traveling west tomorrow, high wind watches from Jamestown westward, and those will likely be expanded as well, as they're expecting wind gusts out to the west approaching 60 miles an hour. This is a very compact, fast-moving storm system. Doesn't have a lot of moisture with it, but again, you don't need a lot of snow when you're talking about winds 35 to 50 around here. So please keep up to date on the forecast. Again, no watches or advisories issued just yet, but that will change as the Weather Service in Minnesota have already hoisted warnings and watches east of the Bemidji area, and those will be expanded westward likely to include parts of the listening area. Now, after that storm system passes Thursday night into Friday morning, we'll quiet things down, and then we've got another storm system that is going to affect the area for the latter part of the weekend. Looks like Saturday, most of the day should be okay, but Saturday night into Sunday, another area of snow, and this is going to be much more widespread snow event Saturday night into Sunday. That will include areas that's targeting, it looks like, South Dakota, southern Minnesota, where 6 to 10 inches of snow is expected, along with wind. The northern end of that is going to reach just about to the 94 corridor. And that might be pushing it. I think we're going to get missed by this storm in the Fargo area as well. Further south you go, the better chance down towards Wahpeton, Sisseton to be affected by that weekend storm. We'll keep a close eye on that one because that's still out in the Pacific, and just a slight shift north with that system would put the FM area in some of the heavier snow on Saturday night into Sunday. But right now it looks like the majority of that is going to be down to our south. And then we'll kind of mellow things out as we head into next week. In fact, snow-free areas next week, by the end of next week, we could be pushing 60 degrees again across the area if we don't pick up a decent snowpack, which it looks like it might miss us. So we could be looking at some very mild weather by the end of next week. So all in all, kind of a bumpy forecast. Again, if you have any travel tomorrow, please, I'm talking throughout the entire state into Minnesota, please keep up to date on the forecast. You might want to alter your plans. And then, again, the other storm system coming in Saturday night into Sunday, where, again, the more accumulating snow, that looks to be heavier snow, mainly down to our south into South Dakota and into areas of southern Minnesota. So winter is not done yet, but we are seeing more and more signs of spring. And that's good news. So who better to have on our show when we're talking about spring than Don Kinsler? So Don will be joining us momentarily as soon as we get done with our break. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 1:19 in the afternoon. Temperatures outside hugging that 30-degree mark here in the FM area. And, just the other day, we were pushing 60. It felt like spring, and now we're looking at snow back in the forecast. But who better to have on our show when spring is right around the corner than Don Kinsler? Don, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It's always great to be here.
Boy, are you getting spring fever yet after that
of course.
little tease that we had the other day?
I have. In fact, one of my favorite pastimes this time of year is when I get home from work, and now that the days are a little longer too, I enjoy just walking around the yard, taking a look to see how did everything fare over winter. What's the damage? What have the rabbits done? What have the voles done? And just to see how things wintered. And so on some of these more pleasant days, I just love walking around after the snow is kind of melting and disappearing to see how things were. So we can talk about some of the things that I've discovered.
Yeah, let's. What about snow mold? We haven't had a lot of snow this winter. We're way down, but we're ahead of last year. Have you noticed any snow mold on any of the lawns?
I have. In fact, one of the local TV stations wanted to do a thing on snow mold because typically after the snow melts, that's when you would see it on lawns, especially under areas where the snow is deep, the piles, things like that. Well, snow mold is a fungus that starts, it kind of gets its start after the first snow, and then it kind of lives under these snow piles. And when the snow disappears, then if it's present, you see this grayish webbing on the grass. Sometimes it'll be a little pinkish. And in severe cases, it's like a grayish blanket on the lawn. In less severe cases, it's just a little bit here and there, where a snow pile disappeared. So with the TV station, when we were looking for it, on the lawn in front of the TV station, I was able to find a little bit of snow mold and a little bit of grayish. Now, if it's a blanket, kind of a thick webbing of that grayish mold, it can actually kill the grass. But more often than not, it's just a little bit here and there. But the nice thing is the cure for it is easy. When the lawn has dried enough to where you can kind of rake it a little bit without kind of making a mess, a wet mess, but to take a leaf-type rake and just fluff up the grass. It almost immediately looks better, and the aeration from that leaf rake makes the snow mold basically go away.
And should you do that like right now? Is right now a good time, or should we wait?
Things are a little bit wet yet. Everything, the snow's just kind of left. Things are a little bit wet and just kind of on the lawn. So unless your lawn was well drained and it looks like it's dry enough, I'd wait a little bit yet.
Okay.
And so far I'm not seeing serious snow mold. But like I say, I did see a little bit, but just, fluff it up. The air getting into the grass just causes the snow mold to go away.
All right. Now, if the snow mold, let's say it was severe enough where it did kill a patch of grass, do you just reseed? What do you?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
You just rake off what comes up and then reseed.
Okay.
And if a person is consistently troubled with snow mold, but that's kind of rare. But you can in the fall apply fungicides. Fungicides are generally preventative to stop fungal type infections. So a person could apply a preventative fungicide in the fall before the snow comes. But I don't know that I've ever really seen a lawn or big lawn area killed by snow mold. I'm sure it's happened.
Sure.
But again, if you have had severe cases, just wait until it dries up a little bit, rake it off. And if the grass doesn't look like it's coming, when growth actually starts, end of April, first part of May, when our lawns kind of start greening up, then there's always plenty of time to reseed.
Okay.
So that is one thing that a person looks for this time of year. And then I kind of walk around looking to see how did my trees and shrubs and perennials, how did they come through winter? And, of course, the perennial flowers, they're a little ways yet from coming up, unless they're on the south side of a building. Gosh, some of our iris are popping up. They think it's spring.
A little
on the
early
south side
for
of
that.
Yeah, it is. But, gosh, in the south side of the building where the sun is shining, things wake up early.
Right.
Go ahead, Dean.
We've got Kevin on line one. Kevin's got a question for you, Don. Kevin, go ahead.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, thanks, Dean. Thanks, Don. One of my favorite shows. when you come on. Anyway, Don, this deal with seeding now. Somewhere in my farmer's past, all the things about putting grass seed down. You can, okay, so you're along your driveway. We had these 60-degree days. Everything's melted. You've got about 2-3 feet that's crowded, but you see all the raked out parts from your snow blower and stuff. You're almost down to dirt. What's your feeling about putting grass seed down now? Because they remember Farmer's Almanac or the theories of put some grass seed down before what you're thinking is the last snow of the year.
Well,
Any ideas on that?
Great comments. So now putting grass seed down, for example, in the fall of the year, right before the snowfall, is a good way to dormant seed. And it could be done this time of year, but, before we get the last snow of spring, you could put that down. One danger putting grass seed down too early is that the sparrows can have a heyday in it. The grass seed are Kentucky bluegrasses and fescues, which are the most common grass types in our area. They don't begin germination until the soil temperature reaches 50 to 55 degrees. And so that grass seed does just kind of sit there. The snow would give it some good moisture, which it needs, but the temperature has to reach a certain level. And so it would probably be okay. I like the idea of the moisture that the melting snow will provide. And if the sparrows leave it alone, the grass seed will just kind of sit there until the soil temperature rises. So, I can see a good justification for the method you described. The other thing that I was thinking as you were describing these areas along driveways and sidewalks, where the shovel scrapes or the snow blower kind of gouges down in, the grass, of course, tends to thin out in those areas. And those are prime areas where crabgrass starts growing. Now, crabgrass is an annual grass that just grows from seed that it deposits. It's kind of a lightish yellow, wider blade, weedy type grass. And so that begins germinating also when the temperatures get up to about 20, 25 degrees. So if you're bothered by those areas on either side of driveways and sidewalks where this weedy type grass always tends to emerge, crabgrass preventers, which are sold at garden centers and hardware stores, that can be applied and generally needs to be in place before about April 15th. Many years, it'll vary, but many years, that's when the soil tends to start approaching about 50 degrees. So crabgrass preventers along those areas can help prevent that. But now, here's the tricky part. If you plant grass seed in those areas, and if you apply crabgrass preventer, many of those crabgrass preventers are also going to prevent your good grass seed. So the trick is to visit a garden center. There are only a few of those products, crabgrass preventers, that will allow the good grass seed to come through. So it needs to be a specialized crabgrass preventer. So I'm glad you brought this up because that's a common issue for many of us, that along those driveways you get this thin area of grass and then pretty soon you got these weedy crabgrass stuff coming up.
All right.
No, this is good. This is good. I'm saving a bag of the crabgrass preventer for as soon as it breaks loose. That's going on. One bag.
Yeah, that sounds great because crabgrass is quite prevalent in our area, and it, like I say, it just especially attacks areas where the rest of the grass isn't very lush and full.
Well, thank you for your show. Thank you, Dean, for letting me on the air one more time. And you guys are just fun. It's like, God, Don's on today. Cool.
I wish we could have Don on every week.
I know. Oh, trust me, if you guys are feeling spring, my mind is back into my planters and what am I going to grow this year? Tomatoes, cucumbers, or what and when?
All it takes is a little sunshine and warmth, and I'm ready to go.
All right, thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Don, we were talking before we went on air about emerald ash borer.
Yes.
Has reared its ugly head here in the Fargo-Moorhead area.
Made the news a few weeks ago because it had been found in Lemoore County, which is a county south and a little west of Fargo. Now, it had been detected in Clay County a few years ago, and so we naturally thought, well, it's going to find its way across the river. Fargo would be the first place in North Dakota that it would be detected. So it was a little unusual that it was found along a rest area in Lemoore. How did it get there? Well, maybe firewood or someone that brought in some firewood that would have been affected. That's a possibility. But anyway, now a few weeks ago, it was detected in ash trees in downtown Fargo. So it is here. And so it is overwintering. You know, one of the questions was, is this insect, is it going to just be frozen out? But it's been found in Winnipeg, so it's wintering. Cold temperatures certainly has, I think, limited the spread. It hasn't spread maybe through the colder states the way it has in some of the other states, but it's devastating. It has killed hundreds of millions of ash trees. It only attacks ash trees, which is good, but in some communities, 80% of the trees are ash trees. Fargo, I believe they've got it down to 20% or so, but on certain streets in Fargo, that entire street is sometimes all ash. So it can have tremendous effect, and so we certainly have to keep an eye on it. There are certified arborists can inject protections, so that's an alternative. So I think one of the best bets is just to kind of stay tuned. The tree specialists always indicated that if emerald ash borer was located or identified within about a 15-mile radius, you might consider injecting high-value trees, a specimen tree in your yard.
Okay. All right. Well, we're at the bottom of the hour break, and so we're going to have to pay some bills here. But if you have any questions for Don, give us a call on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000, or you can drop me an email, weather@flagfamily.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. And we have our special guest, Don Kinsler, with us for our lawn and garden segment. If you have any questions for Don, please feel free to give us a call on the JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. Don, I'll tell you, a lot of people are ready for spring, even though we haven't had much of a winter yet. And I'm sure a lot of people are starting to think about starting to grow those seeds. What can you tell? Is it now a good time to start those indoors? Or?
Well, yes, and I grow most of the plants for our vegetable garden and flowers in our basement under lights, so I love starting seeds. And the trick, though, is different types of flowers and vegetables require a longer time to produce a plant that we would transplant out. So, for example, begonia seed are like powder, and so those I start in February. But for petunias, those get seeded right now. I just maybe Monday evening seeded our petunias. Now, tomatoes are one of the most popular one to start indoors for people, and a person should delay until April 1st. The danger of starting some of these too early is indoors they just get lanky, spindly, and they don't need that much time indoors in which to grow. So April 1st is a target date for tomato varieties. And I start all our seeds on heat mats. There are special germination heat mats. And, of course, you'll have those for years and years. And they give the bottom heat that is necessary on a seed tray to get good germination. So I highly encourage people that like starting seeds, invest in one of those. You can get them at garden centers. And also, I raise everything under lights. For years, I used plain fluorescent shop type lights. The kind of long horizontal 2 tubes in a shop type light. A few years ago, I switched to LED. They don't need to be special plant type lights. They can be if you want, but just and keep them about 2 inches above your seed trays, because they need to be relatively close. Otherwise, those little seedlings will stretch. The other thing is, my wife and I had a garden center for 25 years, and we grew hundreds of thousands of plants for sale. And in greenhouses, you seed into a seed tray, and then when the little seedlings become large enough to handle, you hand transplant them into the little 4-packs and little pots that you sell. And so it works much better as a homeowner to duplicate that. So rather than trying to seed directly into your little 4-pack or 6-pack, many gardeners, our garage is full of recycled 6-packs and 4-packs and old trays and everything. So start in a seed tray. I use recycled, from the bakery, the little donut balls come in, those clear with the little dome lid. I poke holes in the bottom of those and use those for seeding. So seed into those, get a nice little crop of seedlings, and then when they're big enough to handle, you transplant those into your 4-packs or your 6-pack or your little pot. That is much more successful. That's the way the greenhouses do it, and we can duplicate that at home. And keep them under lights. Or if you have a bright, sunny window, you could do that too. And then by middle of May, 3rd week in May, you'll have a nice transplant. So plenty of time for seeding yet.
Great.
And then also, you mentioned too about this winter. So I'm curious, where have we been on snow total to this point? Are we average, above average?
We're way below average. We're about... it's roughly 15 inches below normal.
Okay, and I'll tell you why I'm not surprised hearing that, because when I take the walk around our garden, one of the things that I gauge for winter injury is our roses. Now, we have Canadian-developed winter-hardy roses, okay? But in certain winters, they can still freeze back, okay? They don't totally die. But the upper canes will turn blackish brown and dead. The good growth is down towards the base. And it depends on how much snow we have, because the snow is good insulation.
Right.
So in a winter in which we have less than normal snow, I have more dieback on these roses. So this year, I've got more dieback on the roses. The green canes are down maybe 6 inches above soil level.
Okay.
I would like to have about 18 inches of live above. So based on my roses, they told me that we are below average in snow. So that's interesting.
They know, don't they?
They know. Sometimes you see, if we didn't have meteorologists, I'd have to listen to my roses to tell me what the winter had been.
Sometimes they might be more accurate.
Yeah, or I guess I could go by how much I had to shovel too. I guess.
Right. Well, and we're not done with winter yet, as we've been seeing here with what's around the corner. Tell us a little bit about fungicide for lilacs this spring.
Yes. The last couple of years, the whole region was hit by a fungus that attacked lilacs. By the middle of summer, many of them were defoliated. The leaves had turned yellow, brown, and fallen off, and the lilacs looked just crummy. And these were old, established lilacs. The exact fungus was called Pseudocercospora. And, okay, if that happened too many years in a row, that can really weaken. I mean, lilacs are tough to kill, but if this happened too many years in a row where they were prematurely defoliated, that can stress them and I suppose eventually kill them. So the trick is, though, the preventative fungicides have to be applied in early spring as the leaves are starting to pop out. So maybe early May, when there's about a half an inch of green leaf that you see, you would need to get on a fungicide, visit the garden centers. Copper-type fungicides would work. Fungicides containing the active ingredient chlorothalonil. You know, I like that term. It kind of rolls around in your mouth. Chlorothalonil
Say
for an
that 100 times.
active ingredient. And so that needs to be applied very early. You see, we don't know what the spring, maybe you do, Dean, know what the spring weather is going to be like. These fungal-type diseases get started if we have cool, moist, humid springs. And then the fungus just gets entrenched on the leaves, and then it goes on from there.
We're supposed to have an above normal temperature regime this spring.
That might limit the fungus that would cause this. If people have been affected with this on lilacs the last couple of years, they might consider putting on a fungicide in May as the leaves are just starting to unfurl. Okay. But yeah, that's been a serious... and it also caused interesting phenomenon. Because a lot of those lilacs became defoliated really early, it triggered a survival instinct in those lilacs. And from all across the region, there were lilacs blooming in September and October. You know, maybe not the whole thing covered, but here and there were, on the shrub, there were lilac blossoms opening. And it was kind of the response of the lilac, knowing that, gosh, I lost all my leaves. Am I going to die? Maybe I need to reproduce myself with flowers and seeds. Okay, I don't think the lilacs are going to die, but sometimes that's what plants will do. They'll try to propagate themselves. And so, interesting phenomenon. I don't think I had ever seen lilacs so affected by that disease a couple of years in a row.
Let's hope this year is a little better.
I hope so, too.
Yeah. In fact, like I said, we're looking at an above normal temperature regime, not only spring, but even into the summer, which I'm sure many people will be happy with that.
Yes, and our lilacs will be happy to hear.
The only thing I'm concerned about is moisture. I'm seeing drought conditions out west in the Rockies, and a lot of times droughts are either expanding or contracting, and they seem to be expanding. And hopefully, we're not dealing with that smoke from the wildfires, because with the drought conditions, that's one worry that we have coming into this summer.
Exactly, and we talked a little bit too about what the lack of kind of average snow means on the moisture content too of the soil. And of course, winter snow and the moisture can be a little deceptive too. Some of it just runs off, if the soil doesn't thaw off. So much depends on what happens during the actual growing season when the ground thaws out. But it's kind of nice to have at least kind of a nice amount of snow that will maybe give some moisture down into our fields and gardens and flower beds and lawns.
And hopefully we can get some late season snow here as the ground starts to thaw out, and we can
Exactly.
some of that moisture
One
back
thing
in
that
the
I
ground.
find fascinating is I enjoy looking at the soil temperature, the end-on site. I haven't done that the last week or so, but the end-on site, it's fascinating to see how deep is the soil frost, for example, in Fargo. How far is it 32 degrees or lower? How far did frost go this year? Are you able to pull it up by any chance, Dean?
I'm pulling it up right now. So we've got the 32-degree temp right now is at 31 inches.
Oh, 31 inches. And then it's warmer than that below that. So probably
Correct.
not frozen below about 31. So we got about, not quite 3 feet of frost in the ground. So that'll be interesting. It's always fun to me to see, to watch the progression of how that soil thaws out. And of course, triggered as the soil warms are things like getting on the crabgrass preventer. And as we get really into the gardening season, tomato plants should not be planted out in the garden until the soil has surpassed 50 to 55 degrees. And of course, that's why we wait until the end of May. So that end-on, NDAWN, soil temperature is always a favorite site for me. I think they have, maybe, is it 50 sites or so
There is, yeah.
around the North Dakota, western Minnesota. Fascinating site to watch.
I love it. We use it every day.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, and watch it. For those that battle with crabgrass, it's important to watch that site so that your crabgrass preventer is in place before the soil kind of around that 4-inch or 2-inch level reaches or approaches 50 degrees.
Perfect, Don. Well, Don, thank you again for joining us.
It's
always a pleasure to have you on.
To be here.
And if anybody needs to get a hold of you, if they have any questions for you, what's the best way?
Yes, send me an email, donald.kinsler, KINZLER, at ndsu.edu.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Don.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks everyone for listening.
All right, and when we come back, we'll have a recap of our weather, which includes a lot of wind. High wind warnings now have been issued to the west of the FM area. We'll run down more details on that coming up after the break. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus, 1:55 in the afternoon, and we do have an update on our forecast as the National Weather Service has now issued winter weather advisories for the Devil's Lake Basin. Winter storm watches are now in effect from Grafton through just south of Grand Forks, stretching southeastward through Detroit Lakes, just south of Bemidji, and winter storm warnings in effect from Bemidji eastward. So again, as expected, the brunt of this system, at least precip-wise with snow, is going to affect the northern valley into northwest and north central Minnesota. If you have any travel plans northeast of the FM area, again, those areas are going to get hit with not a ton of snow, but when you get 2, 3, 4 inches of snow and 40, 50 mile an hour winds, you're looking at problems. And the main timing on this is going to be tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. Now, for the FM area, from Fergus through Fargo and westward, high wind warnings are in effect for tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night, as we're expecting winds approaching and exceeding 50 miles an hour out of the northwest. So as that storm system, it's going to be a quick mover. We'll get a quick burst of snow late morning as a warm front pushes into the area. And then we'll see temperatures quickly shoot up to the 40s in the afternoon. And we're talking the FM area and points southward. And then to our north, that's where the wind and the snow is going to create possibility of near blizzard conditions tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night from Grafton, Grand Forks, east-southeastward into Lakes Country. We've got Tom on line one. Tom, you got a question?
Yeah, I sure do for you. So just quick. So after this, whatever precip we get tomorrow, are we going to have ice then on Friday?
No, we'll have a little bit of leftover wind and maybe a few snow showers in the morning, but I'm not looking at freezing rain or icing conditions. No. Now, will there be slippery travel? Probably with the blowing snow, especially to our north, could grease up some of those roadways, but I think we'll escape the worst of it here in the FM area for sure.
Okay, and then how about for the parade, the St. Patty's parade on Saturday? How's that looking?
This Saturday, it looks fine. It looks fine. That storm system that is going to affect us on the weekend, it looks like all of our models are in pretty good agreement that the majority of that is going south into South Dakota, southern Minnesota, where areas of South Dakota through Minneapolis about 6 to 10 inches. But I think we'll be fine. We might see an inch or so, but most of that would be Saturday night into Sunday. So the parade on Saturday should be fine.
Oh, that's excellent. Thank you so much, Dean.
You got it, Tom. Have a good one. So, I was just taking a look at some of the latest data coming out, and all of our models now are pushing the third storm system to our south into South Dakota and southern Minnesota for the latter half of the weekend. Saturday looks okay, but Saturday night, Sunday looks to be a problem. But be careful if you're out and about tomorrow, especially Northern Valley, northern Minnesota, with very, very strong winds and the possibility of near blizzard conditions. So that'll do it for today's Weather and Ag in Focus. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.